All right. So we are in week 6 of our 6-week AM boot camp. And I'm super excited for today because this really uh, what we're gonna talk about calendar stuff for the year, but really not just for you guys, but as you're coaching people, the event to event management piece and what that does and what that means, and kind of walking through that here together. And so first off, as far as events, um, you guys tell me. I mean, obviously, some of you guys just got to go to a really fun event, right? And so sometimes, like the conferences, obviously are not all as exciting as going to Jamaica on a rewards trip, right? But there are some foundational things that you get to experience, whether you're at a conference or you're at a payoff trip, that really make a big impact. And so you guys tell me, for those of you who were just in Jamaica, um, and anyone who's been to an event before, what are some things, like some of you guys went to year and banquet, right? And so think about year and banquet stuff. And then also you can think about, Jamaica, but getting to an event, why do you guys think that plays? Because that is an integral part of the lifespan of a sales representative. Cool. And why do you guys think that them getting to events, like what do you feel are some of the impact? What are some of the things going to year and banquet or going on this trip did for you? I'd love to hear that first before we dive into some of this.
For
I
me,
think
All right, so let's go. Asher, go ahead, and then Trevor.
okay, so year-end banquet and Jamaica are obviously two totally different things. For year-end banquet, you got to listen to so many knowledgeable people that have been in your position for a lot longer than you have, and they can give you way like crazy insight into the job that even if it's like a small thing, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I haven't been doing that, or I should put that into my demo or whatever it may be. And then for Jamaica, it's like you just get to meet a lot of people and you get a lot more comfortable with them when you're hanging out with them for a
Mhm.
few days, whatever. And you build relationships with those people. So um, that's that's
Awesome.
my thing.
Cool. You hit on three very important things: meeting high level people, which can happen at any kind of event, getting tips from top performers, which you can get at any kind of event. Obviously, a conference is structured for learning, where Jamaica by the pool, it's you coming with questions, right? But people are always willing to share. And then relationship building, right? Like that's huge. And even at a conference or an event, that's why like the dinners, or if there's like a mix and mingle or a lunch and learn or a cocktail hour, they're so good to go to. Sometimes people will be like, oh, the conference is over, I'm leaving. And it's like, no, stay the extra hour, right? Even like this Saturday, like we finish at 5:30, but and some people will leave right away. But I encourage stay, come have dinner with us, come hang out, because that's the relationship building part, right? And there's a lot of power in that. We'll talk about the whys with that. But what else? What else? Anything that you want to add to that, Trevor, or Dalton, McCade, those anyone who's been to an event before, whether divisional, regional, national? What are things that you feel events have done for you or could do for other people?
well, like Asher was saying, like gaining a lot of information and getting tips from people, but
Mm-hmm.
also like it builds your confidence and makes you want to come back and keep selling more knives, like going on a trip like Jamaica, and building those relationships, and you feel like you just want to sit there and just keep learning. Like we were sitting there one time and John said something and then he decided to stop talking. I was like, no, I want to hear more. I want to hear more. It wasn't like anything crazy, but it was just business related. And so you just want to keep learning as much as you can.
I love it. And let's talk about what you just said with confidence, Trevor, and anybody can chime in here. What when we say building confidence, which yes, what are the different ways do you feel confidence is building? Is it confidence in the job? Is it in skills? And is it an opportunity? Is it in like what do you feel for you in terms of like helping build confidence going to events?
I think just learning the tips and helping out with you feel more confident doing the actual job because you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you have gained more knowledge about it. So you just want to keep going. And to me, like going to YEB and seeing like everybody there and having so many speakers, it just makes you want to keep going back instead of not being there and not getting to learn all that. So
Okay, awesome. What else? Anyone else want to add to that?
Oh, pretty much same thing as Trevor said. Just makes me want to keep doing better, and that's pretty much it. It was fun. It was fun. It's fun.
Did anyone experience, whether your first event was here in Banquet or going to Jamaica? For those who haven't been, you'll get to see that. But did anyone experience going to an event and going, "Wow, this is actually a place I could see myself longer than I thought"? Did anyone experience that, by the way? Because that was for me. That when I went to SC1, my first conference in June of 2002, I remember going, and it was like, holy crap! Like there was this like kind of expansion, like mentally, of like what was possible beyond my like little shady office that had random crooked posters. Because my manager did not have a nice office like Cody's. Okay, it was literally like construction paper, things written on the walls. And I was like, I don't know about this place. And I remember going to SC1 and going, oh, wow, like this is way bigger than I thought. Right. And so for me, it gave me confidence in that I had made a good decision and that I was in a good place, you know, and that I should stick with it versus listening to all my friends and some of my family who were like, get a real job. What are you doing? Whatever. Right. And so that was a confidence thing for me, was more in the company, confidence that this was a good place, confidence that this was a place I could grow, you know, confidence that this was something that could help me for my future beyond just the money that I was excited about making to pay to study abroad, right? So I don't know if anyone else experienced that, but that was a big thing for me when I went to my first conference.
Yeah. Also, when we were there in Jamaica, we were having conversations with a lot of people, John, Hunter, Cody, and they were all saying like, or we would say, yeah, this is our first trip, and then they would say, well, this is my 30th trip or whatever, and we've gone all over the world. So it's like it makes you more confident in one in yourself. I guess it depends on how you look at it, but it's like for me, I was like, okay, if they've gone on this many trips, like I can do that. Like I have the same opportunities as them. I mean, obviously with manager and rep is it's different, but you go on different trips or whatever. But I could, go on a bunch of different trips for free if I put the work in. So
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah,
was
so maybe
about.
like an excitement or vision for the future, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome. What else? Anything else that you guys, and even if you haven't been to an event, you know, like you guys have come here and meet us, or, you know, like anything that you guys could think, anything that it's done for you, if you personally experience it, or you feel a new rep getting to an event, what it could do for them. Anything else you guys want to add? So right now we have, or actually, go ahead. Anything else you want to add? And then I'll recap and we'll see anything else comes up. I'll recap then. I have meeting high level people, getting tips from top performers, building relationships, building confidence in skill sets in the organization, in the, you know, like in the company, or excuse me, in the opportunity, right? I have thinking bigger, desire to get more involved. I have excitement and vision for the future. Anything else that you guys can think of in terms of what an event can do for you? And I'm going to put this in the chat box so you guys have this, okay? These are all phenomenal things. And each event will also provide some specific things, right? So I think that these are really good general, like any event does this for someone. And when I think about getting people to events, we call it, you'll hear managers, you'll hear in Vector the term event to event management. Why? Because we're like, we want to get them to the next event. Why? Because we know that when they get to an event, there's also this like renewed excitement for the job. Anyone experience that? You know, maybe you're like, you know, like you kind of get in a stagnant place and then you go and you're like, oh, hell yeah. And it's like this re-excitement. It like revives you, right? And so when people are getting like, I missed my first event that I missed was because I was pregnant, by the way, 4 years ago. All right. And that was like after 18 years on the job. Like, I just remember going to my first event and I was like, I never want to miss one of these. Like the conferences, I always learned so much. I love connecting with people. I loved hearing stories. I loved rebuilding relationships. I loved the fun that we had. And every time I left an event, I left more motivated, more skilled, right? Like I feel like I was expanded every time in terms of what was possible. And I was given the tools and resources to make that happen, right? And so that is very true for, I would say, probably almost everyone's experience, right? There might be some outliers, but most people, when they get to go to an event, it's like, whoa, like this is bigger than I thought. So there's an expansion, there's the confidence, but then there's the skill sets and a game plan of how to get there, right? And this is huge when you guys are managing, because what we know is that as they get a chance to build relationships, as they get a chance to be around each other, there's a power in that, and there's a growth that happens in people. And when you get them to events, like let's say you're a newer manager, all right? Some of you guys are opening offices. Some of you guys are assistant managers training, and you're going to be opening offices next year, right? And if you get this down, this is one of the top skills that makes the best managers the best, right? The number one skill is recruiting, all right? The next best skill, I don't know if it's between, I would say it's PDI because it helps people get to events and it helps manage. And then it would be event management, but I would say they're pretty tied. But if you're good at getting your people to the next event, getting to the sales leadership development meeting, getting them to the team meeting, getting them to the division meeting that's going to kick off the playoffs, getting them to anything that's offered, what we know is when they go, they're going to be re-excited, reignited, revigorated. They're going to have new skill sets, and they're going to be excited to put it into action. And so even reps that might have been on the fence, and they're like, Hayden, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. I don't know if I'm just going to do my other job more. And then they go to an event and they're like, no, hell no. I want to be here. I want to win a scholarship. Help me, show me how, right? That will happen. And so some of the bigger events will help revive reps, while others, I don't know that I ever felt like quitting, but every time I went to an event, I just was even more excited. I was even more excited. I was thinking bigger. I wanted to do more. And watching the results on stage, I was like, are you kidding me? I remember my first SC1. This is 23 summers ago. When I went to my first event, the number one person had sold $32,000. This is 2002, a summer. And I remember being there going like, holy cow, right? That expanded what was possible. And it helped me think bigger when I came back for that last month about, before I was thinking, oh, well, I've only sold, 10,000 in the last, 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, or, whatever it was, or it was like 13,000 in that period. Like I only have 4 weeks, left of school, or 6 weeks before I leave to school. Instead of correlating it to what had happened, all of a sudden I'd seen what people had done in a week or two. And I was like, how could I do that? Right? How could I go do something like that? And by the way, in the month of August, I ended up selling 22 grand just that month. And I don't know that would have happened had I not seen someone sell 31 grand in 2 weeks. Right? And so my mentality in terms of what was possible grew, and that'll happen for reps. Okay. So one, and I went through this process and talking through this, one, I think it's really important for us to understand what can an event do for a newer representative, right? And so second, I remember getting taught this. My manager's like, if you can just get people to events, it solves so many things. You could be like not such a great manager. And I don't know, Jacob or Cody, if you want to chime in on any of this, even being younger, but you get into an event. Like I remember being a branch, like I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just like, you gotta meet Mr. Melcher. And I was just building up the division manager and getting him to the SLDM. And all of a sudden they came back and they were like, I want to be on key staff. I want to do this. And they were all excited. And I'm like, what just happened? It's like magic when they would go to events and come back to me, the ones that I didn't go to. And then obviously when we went to conferences together, like how they had a new vision, like they had new goals, and it made it super easy for me as a manager because I wasn't trying to convince them why they should stick around, why this was worth it, why whatever. I just got to like make game plans with them, motivate, inspire, and hold them accountable. And it was awesome, And so Cody or Jacob, I don't know, do you guys want to say anything to that? And then I want to walk through the events and what they are so you guys understand them, the different types of events that are happening this summer. And we can share some of the dates. We're going to go over all the dates, and you guys are going to actually receive a calendar this weekend at the kickoff event. You will receive a calendar with all of the events. But I want to talk about like what events are so that you guys know like what's happening at that event. Cool. So that when you're promoting it, it's not just, this is awesome, it's great, you should go. Like, that's great. And also, we want to make sure they understand what's going to happen and what they're going to gain and how it can benefit them, right? We talked about this from the first time we met together on what's in it for them. Like, you know, are we sharing that? And do they really see the value in them taking time out to go to this event, to be there, right? So that's anything you want to add before we dig into the different types of events?
Yeah, with the DVM stuff, I just remember back in the day being like, yeah, if you just shake Kathy's hand, you know, you'll instantly make more money this summer. You know, that line always being like the line, right?
John still uses that. He's like, just shake your hand, everything turns to gold. She has the Midas touch. Because I have people come to the SLD and they're like, John said I have to shake your hand. Like, okay. You know, but it does, you know, it's silly, but at the same time, it builds a different level of excitement for them, you know, and when they're coming back, you know, what they're ready to implement and do. And so it definitely impacts in a big way.
And I also say she's the one that's in charge of all the promotions for the division, right? So like whether or not you get accepted into GCLA, whether or not you get to branch, like that's up to her. So you definitely want to be someone who she remembers your face and your name because you've introduced yourself to her.
Awesome. And Cody, did you want to add something? I saw you on mute.
So I make sure I get them there. And what do I mean by that? So I'm working right now to figure out, okay, who's all coming and what can I do to make sure they make it? And I'll fight for them to make it, right? Like, so if I have to go figure out a ride, right? Or I have to go get someone to pick them up, or if I have to help them rearrange their schedule, or if I have to pay for a hotel room, right? That was a big thing even for you guys. We're talking about your year-end banquet. That was something that wasn't necessarily in the budget, but I was like, hey, I know if I can get these guys to go, it's going to be a really great event and it's going to be really helpful to them. So that was even for me where I said, all right, I'm going to pay money to help invest in this thing. Now, sometimes for some of the events, that's not the case, right? Or they'll be, you know, they pay for their own event or whatever. But there's times where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I spend some of my own money that wasn't even necessarily budgeted for this because I know how important it is to get people there, right? I'll give someone $50 for a tank of gas, right, to make sure that they can make it there. I'm just going to find a way to get them there because I know once I get them there, everything that you guys just talked about is going to happen. But just telling someone about it doesn't mean they're going to show up, right? So it's the inviting them and making sure what's their plan to get there, which Kathy's going to go through in a minute, I'm sure anyway. But for me, it's like, okay, like I got to get people to this event this coming weekend, for example, right? So I'm trying to figure all of that out. Like I'm talking to Kyler right now. Kyler was like, yo, I would love to come. I'm like, do they even have an airport where you live? He's like, well, they have an airport in Midland. It's 2.5 hours away. I'm like, all right, let's see if we can fly you from Midland. But like, I know if Kyler comes and does that this week and he's going to be tied in, locked in, and we're going to have him for the entire summer. He's going to be on our management team. He's going to be on our list for offices for next summer. So it's worth it, right? For the business, but then also just for him as an individual to get invested into people, which is a big thing you guys have heard us talk about. And one of the reasons I think you like what we do and like what I do is because we take the time to invest in people. And sometimes that's literally saying, all right, it wasn't in my budget, but here I'll find $50 to make this thing happen for this guy, right? And I think that's my mentality on it.
And obviously as assistant managers, we're like, you're not going to be doing that, you're going to be paying, but it's that type of like that's what we're doing.
But as an assistant manager, you might say, hey, you know what? I'll come
pick you up.
Right. Yep. I'll swing by and get you before the team meeting, or I'll grab you from the airport, or I'll make sure you have a ride over. Like you can do that. You can do that. Not even ask me. Right. Like that's cool. When you have assistant managers just like taking that initiative and like you're just picking them up and I didn't have to plan that. Like, dude, that is incredible. Right. And that's just that same idea of like, but doing it at your level. Right. Cool.
Yep. I love it.
On that. Just don't let someone else be the reason you're late. Just a caveat on that. Don't be an hour late because you had to go get somebody.
Yeah, plan better, get there early. But that what Cody just mentioned, like that is one of the points that I had here. So one, The first thing is, do we understand the importance and the impact that events can have on our people's lives? Cool. The longevity is on another level. They have ran reports and statistics of people that got to events and they didn't go to the event, and the difference in their results and how long they were here. Cool. And it's astronomically different, just so you guys know. All right. Astronomically different. And so something that I remember my manager told me at first, he's like, one, when it comes to team meetings, he's like, if they miss one, he's like, get them there. If they miss one, they could be gone. If they miss two, they're probably gone. If they miss three, they're out. Like they're a lost cause. And he's like, you got to dig in and fight to get them there. Like they've got this happening or whatever. Like we only require two things weekly, and that's one of them. One is to do their payroll, two is to get to their team meeting. So that, things are getting done properly. And so, my manager was always like, Kat, you got to fight to get them there. Like, can they study earlier? Can they study after? Can they bring their homework? If they didn't plan properly and they're like stressing about a test tomorrow or something. And he's like, but we got to figure out. And if it's one time, it's okay. Where do we make it up? Let's make it up tomorrow. But hey, let's plan ahead for the future. It's the only one night of the week. Be like, we know there's a random exception. Like it's grandma's 80th birthday and like all the family's coming together for her 80th on that day and we couldn't get out of it. Something like that'll happen. And we'll work around with you guys. But like, we want to see you win. We want to see you excel. We want to see you crush this job. And we know that at these meetings, we get an opportunity to recognize you guys, to learn together, to teach you more, to be able to make plans and be able to help you continue elevate your skill sets. And, on another note, that's part of, we have the guaranteed base pay of $25, but we have that so that you don't stress, so you can have fun, you can connect with your customers, you're going to get paid. But part of that is you being committed to your success. And so, on these meetings and when we're together, on Wednesday nights, like that's something that we're always going to be coaching you guys, helping you elevate your skills so that you keep getting better and better. Right. And so it's a combo of things there. But I want to walk through real quick the different types of meetings. And actually, the other thing I wanted to share was my manager told me they're not at an event until they're at the event. Did everyone hear me? They're not at an event until they're at the event. What does this mean? I'm working with two of our veteran managers right now, and I'm saying veteran, they've been here more than 2 years. I'm working with two of our managers right now and really trying to get this through. Like, well, I confirm them. Confirming them for an event doesn't mean that they're going to get there. Okay. And so there's a breakage point. I'm like, one is confirming them for the event, right? Like, oh, hey, we got to reserve your spot, whatever conversation. We're going to talk more about those conversations later as we do some more training and stuff this weekend. But the first thing in terms of, getting them to the actual, confirming them for the actual event is one thing, right? But from now until the day of the event, it's always like re-excitement. Like, dude, I cannot wait for you to see what I'm so excited for you. I can't wait for you to meet these people. Oh, dude, did you hear that so-and-so is going to be speaking? Like the next time you talk to them, like we're just always building anticipation and excitement. Okay. Because if that anticipation or excitement dies down, they might not show up. Right. But if every time you talk to them or talk about the job, their excitement keeps going up, they like cannot wait to get there. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And then as we get closer, it's like, hey, do you have a ride? It's not like, oh, are you going? That's never even a question to me, right? Like we already talked about this. It's just like, hey, do you have your ride confirmed for Saturday, right? Like I called someone today. I had talked to her about this, a week and a half ago about this Saturday. And I didn't call her to go, hey, are you still able to come? Because that's honestly what I wanted to know. But I'm not going to say that. Right. I was like, hey, I just wanted to call and see if you had a ride for Saturday, if you were all set, if you knew what to bring. And she was like, oh, I really need a ride. I can't drive up there. She's like, but I'm all set as long as I have a ride. And I was like, cool, we're going to coordinate that for you. Don't worry, going through. But like, that's how I was confirming her. Where really in my head, I'm like, I just need to know if she's still going. I haven't even talked to her in a week, because I've been out and she'd been out with a lot of stuff with school and her other job. So how are you confirming? It's not, hey, are you coming to team meeting tomorrow, Trevor? It's, hey, what time are you arriving at team meeting? Everyone heard me? All right. Hey, just wanted to confirm what time you were arriving. Are you making calls before we start team meeting? Some people are coming earlier to make some calls. Or are you just going to make calls during the phone jam? Right. If I'm confirming for payroll, like I run a payroll meeting because it's easier for me to meet with the group at the same time, give them all the updates and all that. And I want them to phone during that. I'm not saying like, are you coming? Are you able to come to payroll? Like that's part of the job. It's expected. So when I'm talking to them and confirming them, I'm like, hey, by the way, Monday, PSP, are you planning on doing your calls before or after? Okay, cool. And like, that's how I'm confirming it. These are all key phrases you guys can write down. You can go back and listen to this later as well. But these are like little things. So it's kind of like, I'm not saying, hey, Dalton, do you want to buy this homemaker today? I don't want a yes or no. I want a which one, what time, a yes or yes is what I'm trying to ask. So that's a psychology thing. So instead of like, hey, are you coming to this? Or hey, are you doing this? Or hey, do you want to buy this? I don't ask my customer if they want to buy this. I'm like, of course, why would they not want to buy it? Right. I assume the sales, yes. And when I ask my customer, like, hey, did you guys want to pay in full or do you rather put a deposit so you can try it out? Right. Or hey, did you guys want the complete set or did you like the basic set better? Right? Or did you guys want to do the table knives with that? Or did you want to try the steak knives out? It's a pick one, you know? So that, again, that's more advanced psychology, but that's important, you know, for events that, especially the ones that are required. For me, payroll and team meeting are required. I'm not asking if they're coming. If I say, hey, what time are you getting here? Hey, I just want to confirm arrival time. Or if you're coming earlier to make calls, I know some people are coming earlier and they're like, oh, I don't think I can make it, you know, because I have this. I'm like, oh, okay, what happened? Everything okay? You know, like I'm digging in a little bit more to find out what's going on. And I'm like, well, hey, I'm like, did you talk to Cody about this already? I'm like, I go, a couple of things with this. You know, one, this is one of the requirements of the job that we talked about in the interview. We do expect to see everybody twice a week at a minimum. Cool. Once to take care of your payroll and once for our team meeting, which is learning recognition, team bonding, and really seeing you guys grow in the business. And so it's really, you know, it'll be like, we guarantee the base pay for those who are active. And so being an active representative, you know, are those who are going to the, you know, are part of the team meeting or part of that. We see them a minimum twice a week. That's an active representative. And the reason we have that is because one, we don't want you guys to have stress, all right, in terms of paying your bills. We want you to just have fun with customers and connect. And we want you to focus on your skills. We want you to focus on your presentation skills. We want you to focus on selling yourself, learning how to build rapport, like all these tangible things that are going to help you for a lifetime. Cool. And so that's why we have the guaranteed base. So there's no stress. But part of that is being an active rep. We want to be able to coach you. We want to see you grow. And so that's really important. Cool. On the flip side, if someone is not coming to the meetings, we do not guarantee the base for those that are not an active rep. Okay. So just, you know, want to remind you of that as well. We're going to be talking about base pay management more and stuff this weekend. But be like, you know, whatever. And so Chad be like, so what can we do? Even if we can get you there for, I'd rather have you there for some of it than none of it. Right. And so let's say someone's like, oh, it's my dad's 60th or whatever, you know, or my so-and-so, like one, we should have known that ahead of time. Okay. Guys, like when we did their scheduling beginning of the week or the week before, we should already know that. So if it's a newer rep, I'm like, hey, I know this is a new type of job. And it's a little bit different. Maybe, you know, in the past, we got to plan ahead a little bit more. And so I get these things come up, but like we didn't, it wasn't like same thing with school. It's like, did your teacher just pop a test? Like you should have a syllabus and know when your exam is. So we plan ahead, right? We should know, oh, it's grandma's 80th birthday, you know? And so part of this means talking to parents saying, hey, what do we have coming up the next couple of weeks? What do we have coming up in the next month? I'm mapping out my work schedule. And I was just curious what we have going on to make sure I don't miss any family functions, right? And knowing those things in advance so we can have a proper game plan in advance, okay? The day of or the day before is not the time to say, oh, I can't make it. Because we should have known that already. We should have already made a plan in terms of when that was going to get caught up. Cool. And so I'm going to give you a get out of jail free card this time, but Trevor, I really want to see you succeed with us. And I know the benefit this has for you guys. And so I know, again, different type of job. You're not used to planning ahead and we're going to keep working on that. But let's make sure to talk to mom about anything coming up in the next 2 weeks to make sure we have a proper game plan. And we do need to make up the meeting. So when can we get you earlier? And then you just leave for the dinner at 7. And then we'll get you back tomorrow and finish the phone jam part tomorrow during the Thursday Money Maker. Or we can have you tomorrow during lunchtime. I'm like, let's just pick a time so we can get together, make sure we have a good game plan, do a little bit of coaching and make your calls, right? And we're going to make a plan for that. Now, if someone missed the team meeting, that's where I'd be like, hey, dude, everything okay? You know, like the next day I'm following up. I'm like, hey, everything okay? Are you okay? like almost like, what happened? You know, and they're like, oh no, I had this, or it was my friend's birthday, or I don't know, random stuff you're gonna hear. And I'm like, oh, okay, oh my gosh, I thought something happened. Be like, well, hey, do you remember back from the interview? You know, and going over, but like you've got to make sure there's accountability around the required things, right? Then obviously there's all the extra bonus things. So we've got the regular weekly team meeting, whatever, and for us payroll, that's a non-negotiable. And then in the summertime, you guys are going to see we have different events that are coming up. So I want you guys to write these down. And I'll go ahead and put a whiteboard up here, so you guys can grab this as well. Okay. So as far as events, so obviously we have a team meeting, all right, which is weekly, and that is part of the job. All right. So that they should always be there. But then there's bonus things, right? And so I'll put here, you've got bonus. But all these things are essential and huge for their success, all right? So in the summertime, we have something called an SLDM. Everyone write that down. It is a sales leadership development meeting, okay? So sales leadership development meeting. This right here is a meeting that Kathy or Cody runs, okay? It's with our division manager or assistant division manager. All right, and so typically I run this, but I'm gonna have a baby this year. We're gonna be teaching Cody how to do that too. All right, but where we share secrets of success, all right, that helped her earn 22K in 2.5 months when she was 19. Why are all your names keep moving around? I don't know what's happening right now. All right. And so we'll give top tips on getting more people. All right. Phone excellence. How to win scholarships and tips to increase your closing and average order. Okay. So again, this is typically just me teaching the whole time, or it'll be Cody teaching. We run this. All right. So that is a sales leadership development meeting. And just so you guys know, you only go to one in your lifetime. All right. And I say lifetime, like Cutco Life, but as a you only go to one time. If you go again the next time, you're gonna hear the same things. Got it? So it's not like I teach something different every time. It's a set meeting that we always run the same thing on that meeting. So you only go to one. Now, could you go to more because you want to refresh? Yeah, most of my AMs every year when they come back for the summer, and my top reps that come back each year, they usually go to SLDM right when they get back in town just to refresh themselves. Cool. But again, it's the same content they heard a year ago or before, because the stuff that helped me my first summer doesn't change. So I'm sharing that with people. Any questions on that, on that event? That's the SLDM. All right. The next event that you guys are going to see in the summer is a division meeting. Okay. A division meeting is when the whole division, all right, so all offices, all right, get together for typically, get together for learning. And I'm just going to put usually, and especially in the summer, link. All right. So it's linked to kicking off a sales period, or a sales competitive period. Okay. So we're kicking off Ole and Push. We're kicking off the playoffs. We're kicking off the Super Bowl. We're kicking off whatever. And so we'll get together to division. We'll do some learning. We'll make calls together, and then we'll go out and compete. Okay. So at a division meeting, they get to, and I'll just put some points under. So they get to meet the other managers in the division. All right. And I'm going to give you guys a video I want you guys to watch, take notes on, and give me feedback from Brian Hurlman called The Art of Promotion, and he goes in deep with this stuff. It's amazing. It's about an hour on just how to be a great promoter. One of the best people I've seen in the business, an old mentee of mine. He's incredible at this. All right. But gets to me, other managers, huge buildup. And so building up the type of people we have. I've been here over a decade, Hall of Fame, Court of Honor. Like we just have badassery in our division. And so getting to meet, getting to meet top reps. All right. Some of the best reps in the country. All right. Are in our division. All right. And so feeling really good about that. So getting a chance to meet some of them. All right. But division meeting, usually it's with all the managers. And so you'll get, that'll be some learning, some motivation, and ready to kick some butt. All right. But it's going to give them skills to help them maximize whatever's coming up. All right. Then we have an actual conference. All right. So a conference can be either regional or national. All right. And at a conference, there's typically 2 or more divisions together, typically. Sometimes it's just one, but at a conference, this is high level learning from the best of the best in our business. All right. And this is a time of expansion for a lot of people, getting tools and access to Hall of Fame members. And so I always love to use analogy of like if they play sports or anything they do, but getting to meet, and you can use whatever athlete you want, but just getting to hang out and ask questions of people in the Hall of Fame, right? And like, how cool would that be? And so let me give you an example, right? Like, it's like, oh, you're gonna get to so let's say I'm talking to someone who's like huge basketball fan. Like I was a huge basketball fan always, and I'm like, dude, just think about like if you played basketball and you got to go to an event where you get to like rub elbows with like LeBron James and Michael Jordan and and name different grades and be like, and you just got to like ask some questions and get tips, and like how badass would that be, right? I'm like, people would pay a lot of money to be able to go something like that, be like, and you get to have access to people for almost free. All right. And so for most conferences, most have a cost associated, all right, for these. But company offers free product so that you can actually make profit by going to the event. So meaning if you sell off the product that they give us, you actually make $100 to go to the event, or you make $150, or you make $50, which is really cool. All right. And so they help offset it by giving us product so that we have that. All right. But conferences are a bigger event they can go to. We have, workshops that happen. And so these happen sporadically. There'll be times, so workshops, learn tips from the best in the business. All right. Cutco sales professionals or top branches that make 50% commissions, right? And so them getting a chance to learn how they have such great results, all right? And having intimate access to top leaders, right? Because if you go to a conference, there might be 200 people there or 100 people there, and you might not get that exclusive one-on-one. But if you go to a workshop Dante's running, there might just be 5 of you, and you get this like intimate, you get to ask questions, you get to build relationship. And so these are, definitely more intimate, meaning like it's a smaller amount of people, you get more attention, all right? Less people, more attention, and really get support with that. Okay. So these are some of the main ones. So when you hear, oh, there's a workshop, right? That's going to be focused, like a workshop is typically one topic and it's 1 hour, all right, as well. So they're focusing on one certain area for an hour and they're teaching. That's what a workshop. And so building up that person, building up what they're teaching and going through. An SLDM is something I run, sales leadership development meeting, where I share secrets that helped me earn 22 grand my first summer, right? Division meeting, we get the whole division together. They get to meet managers from the other offices, get to learn from top people. And it's usually something that's helping us launch into a competitive sales period. Most of the conferences are also, let me put here, celebrating the end of a sales period. So there's recognition, learning, all right, and tons, and time to connect with top people from all over. All right. And so these are kind of the main things you guys will see and have access. So if you want to screenshot this, so you guys have that, please screenshot it. So, you know, if you're like, wait, what's a division meeting? Wait, what's SLDM? Wait, what's this? Right. And I probably should expand it more on team meeting, but most of you guys know what a team meeting is. But, you know, as you hear about other events and stuff coming up, these happen at different times, but these are the main types of meetings that we have. All right. So I just wanted to share those there. Cody or Jacob, anything I missed here in terms of just general events? Cool. So you guys, again, can you can screenshot this so that you have it. And then let me keep going here. All right. So now this summer, and we're going to talk about this as we go through, there's a couple different types. Summer's our season. So right now, and I'm just going to put here in general, you'll get everything this weekend, but April 13th, okay, is our preseason kickoff. Okay. That's what's happening so this is regionally this Saturday. Okay. And getting everyone ready for what's about to go down. All right. So we've got preseason kickoff. Then on Monday, is it the 13th? Make sure. Yep. So Monday, May 13th, all right, is season opener. All right. We will have a big event at Pilot headquarters. And we'll be doing some different things. We're going to have a big social media blitz. We're going to have pizza. We're going to have a big phone jam because this is social blitz and AM/season opener push kickoff. Cool. So starting Tuesday, and I'll just put here Tuesday, the 14th, okay, until divisional team meeting, 4 p.m. Wednesday, the 29th. All right, so May 29th. This is a 2-week competition to kind of get ahead and get started. All right, there'll be some prizes. There'll be prizes, you know, different levels. For like contests that we're setting, besides the prizes for the top sellers. And then, you know, we'll have some great connecting and going through. So that'll be a divisional team meeting. So it's kind of a combo of a division meeting and a team meeting. All right. But just so you guys know, that'll be happening. So that's our season opener. And then we have a season opener competition for those who had started early. All right. And we're basically preparing and we're recruiting and getting everyone ready for the playoffs. Okay. Before that, just so you guys can write down, on May 21st, we will have one of the SLDMs I'm running. I typically only run a couple a year. Cool. So I'll be running 3. I usually run 3 or 4 a year. So this will be the first SLDM. I would mark your calendars now so that we can crush that together. And that will be from 12 to 4 p.m. All right. At the Pilot headquarters. And I always recommend all assistant managers and even branch managers coming to just refresh themselves on the stuff I'm going over. It's really going to help you guys in the second half of the season opener push for you to be there. Cool. And then you can go rock demos after. You can even do demos from the pilot headquarters. So that will be the first SLDM of the summer of the year, really, of 2024. I only do them typically during the summertime. All right. And then, as I mentioned, on May 29th, we have the divisional team meeting. All right. And basically, we're going to be getting together, celebrating the last 2 weeks, but really prepping, because we are only 10 days away, a week and a half away from the playoffs kicking off. All right. So y'all, it is game time. If you guys have played sports before, this is where it all goes down. All right. So let me put here. So playoffs kick off. All right. And this is Monday, June 10th. All right. And by the way, one event we didn't talk about, because maybe you don't call it an event, but it isn't. We make it an event, is a phone jam. And we'll talk about it at the end, but like when we have these big competitions, like we will have a huge call day on Sunday, June 9th. And we will have some things prior to that to help people load up and make sure they've got 15 to 20 or more demos ahead. The top people, the Cutco sales professionals, will be focused on having 20 to 30 people, 20 to 30 appointments ahead of them by Sunday night, the 9th. That is tradition. And so you guys will hear more about that, and we'll walk through more with that. Okay. So Monday, this is a huge event. All right. So playoffs kickoff. This is a division meeting. All right. Which we talked about before. So there's a division meeting, and that is Monday, June 10th. So we rented out the Small Business Development Center, connected with UH. It is right by the Galleria Mall. Thank you, Cody, for that connection prior. It's been an amazing space for us to hold our meetings. And so we will have all of our top people. And guys, anybody that you're excited about having as a leader in the office, anyone that you want to stick around, you want to get them to this event. We are going to bring it. We are going to bring it with skill sets. We are going to bring it with stuff that's going to impact their resume. We're going to share a lot of things that are going to help their experience personally, resume boosters, professional advancement, as well as in the business, helping them earn as much money, helping them win scholarships, and giving them stuff for their skill sets. This is going to be huge as we go into the next two weeks of competition. Okay. Something I did not mention here is that, and I'll put it here, is starting on Tuesday, May 14th at 8 a.m. All right. There will be daily workshops that the Cutco sales professionals are running. Daily workshops by the Cutco sales professionals. Okay. And so these events will happen Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. I'm just putting 8 to 10 a.m. They're going to teach and then phone jam. Teach, Q&A, all right, and jam. So just so you guys know, those are available. All right. So I would recommend go to those, learn from them. Like they've never actually done this. They'll do workshops randomly, but we're going to have them happening every day for 6 weeks. All right. So these will happen 6 weeks out of the whole year. And they start that day. All right. So back down here. So playoffs kickoff division meeting on June 10th. And this kicks off a 2-week national competition. Every office across the nation is going to be competing for a 2-week period. Okay. And that will end on Tuesday. All right. Tuesday, June 25th. All right. Is our summer, it's called SC1. So if you hear SC1, that is Summer Conference 1. Okay. This will actually be in downtown Houston. You guys will get details on this. And this is learning, connection, top CSPs will be there. So learning, connection, and celebration. So we'll have a big VIP night with the top winners, the top performers. We'll have a huge dinner, super fancy place. They're going to have hotel rooms afterwards. It's going to be really a spectacular time together. And again, getting to rub elbows with some of the best while we're at that event. All right. Then there will, and I didn't put the other SLDMs, but there will be 2 more SLDMs in June. You guys will receive that. So June, I'll just put here 4th and 18th are 2 more SLDMs. Again, if you already went to one or your rep already went to one, do they go again? Yes or no? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. No, they don't need to go again. Cool. Correct answer. So once they've gotten to one, they don't need to go again. Now, if someone just wants to get refreshed, or maybe they went to one last year and they want to go back, absolutely. All right. If they're not doing anything, they just want to go, they're always welcome. But again, it's going to be the same content that they heard before. Okay. Then we get ready and we regroup back together on July 1st. This is a special boot camp. All right. So this is, I guess, another meeting that we run. It's really just a preparation meeting for those who are going to be the captains. And so July 1st is boot camp. All right. Preparation for the Super Bowl starting lineup, which we call this the 10K Alliance. Cool. That's the name of it that we call it. So this will be a full day boot camp preparation. This is typically ran by the districts and Cutco sales professionals. We'll have a couple of our key players that will give talks to just get people ready of what does it take to go out and sell $20, $30, $40, $50,000. What does it take to go out and have a $10,000 week, right? And then walking through tips and keys to help with that. And so for newer reps, it might just be having a 10K push. But our goal is to show people, how do we have some 10K weeks, right? How do we go out and really elevate what's possible? And this is preparing for the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl, again, is the whole nation is competing for 2.5 weeks when it comes to the Super Bowl, all right? And so this is huge. So July 1st, we have a big boot camp for that, part 1, all right? And then there'll be a part 2, I believe, and we're solidifying, but part 2 will be either the 9th or 10th of July. All right. And then last things here, the actual Super Bowl kickoff event, all right, is on Monday, July 15th. That's also going to be at the Small Business Development Center. This would be, when we went over the events earlier, this type of event is a division meeting, which will kick off the 2.5 week. All right. So kick off the 2.5 weeks of the national Super Bowl. All right. It's the biggest competition for our company. And our goal is to be in the top 5 nationally, if not more, as a division. So we're super excited about that. And then we have the actual conference, so SC2, all right, which again stands for what? Someone tell me, unmute yourself.
Summer Conference 2.
Thank you. All right. So Summer Conference 2, and this is the summer main event.
7 miles to the green. Oh, okay. That should be quiet too there.
All right. Someone needs to be muted. So this is summer main event. All right. And this is actually, we'll have Texas. All right. And Oklahoma. All right. So, and Texas actually has 4 divisions. Okay. So it is, they're going to get to meet. And by the way, guys, the people who are in these divisions, these are some of the top people in the entire freaking country. Okay. So they're going to get to meet, and you guys are going to get to meet people from Lone Star Division, from South Texas Division, from Texoma Division. All right. John Carpenters. And then obviously from GCK. And then we have, I'll put here 4 other divisions, and then Oklahoma. All right. So these are the people that will be at this event. And so it's going to be several hundred of the best from all over. So this is Austin, South, North, and then Oklahoma that'll be at this. There will be a conference. There will be a huge payoff event. There's a boat day that we have here. There is leadership academy kickoff, and there is events training. Cool. So it is a 3-day, 2-night event in Austin, Texas. All right. So just so you guys know that. And then after that, we start preparing for school. So I know we ran a couple minutes over, but I wanted to go over this so everybody had this. And those of you guys who are on later, you guys can also, take a screenshot, one of this so that you have it. But this is what we're looking at. And like I said, you guys will get calendars this weekend, but just wanted you guys to have. So again, to recap, the type of meetings we have, the SLDM, we have the division meeting, we have conferences, we have workshops. These are types of meetings and how they roll. Those of you who just jumped on, you're welcome to take a picture of that. And then the actual flow of this summer will be this Saturday, kicks off preseason. It's go time. I need you guys ready to get the word out, to be helping us advertise and get literature out on all of the college campuses. We want to start posting stuff on social media as we're hanging out. Hopefully you guys posted stuff while you were in Jamaica, but if not, using some of those pictures and stuff this week for those who were there. And then preparing for, just building momentum. We basically have a month from this Saturday when we have preseason kickoff all the way. Did I say the right date? Maybe I said the wrong date. No, the 13th. So 13th is preseason, and a month later, boom, May 13th is the season opener. And then this is our season, and then SC2 wraps up the summer season, and then we launch the quote-unquote off-season, and we start preparing. We have our management leadership program. We'll have our Only in New York trip, which some of you guys know about. They'll be different. There's our only international competition of the year in the fall. And really, as a division, we're going to be gunning to finish in the top 5. We got a couple silver cups we're going after. I know some of the individuals like Asher are going after a silver cup. I know Cody's office and the district is going after a silver cup. I know the division, and we're looking at new business and being in the top 8 elite. And so we're super excited about that. All right. So I want to open it up for any questions. I'm going to stop sharing here. Maybe they made this all different. I'm confused. How do I stop? There we go. Close whiteboard. Okay. So any questions or comments there? And then I'm going to give you guys the video that talks about event to event promotion, like the art of promotion by one of my favorite people of all time. But I just want to open it up real quick for comments or questions. So by recording. So one of the questions which I failed to put here was SC2, the dates. So the big conference starts on Saturday morning, August 3rd in Austin. And that day we have the conference. That evening we have the 10K payoff. So it's a big VIP dinner that's amazing. And then afterwards, a lot of people will go downtown Austin and hang out who are over 21, under 21. Usually we'll hang out at the hotel. The next day on Sunday morning, some people will go to Mass, and there's a place nearby that people will go to. We will have our programming for our Leadership Academy kickoff on Sunday until about 2:30 p.m. And then we will head out to the boat, okay? We already have our boat reserved for 100 people. We are so excited. And so from 4 to 8 p.m., we have a party barge on Lake Austin, which is a great time. And you will have the top people from Texoma, top people from Oklahoma, top people from all over Texas that are going to be at that. And so getting a chance to hang out, they'll have their own boats. Usually our boats are like right next to each other, and everyone just has a big party together. And so it's a really fun time to get to connect with some of the best of us, just like some of you guys just did in Jamaica, right? So a lot of these guys, you're going to see them out on the boat. And so we spend until after sunset, we're on the boat. And then on Monday is the events training and kickoff. So that is the flow of that weekend. And it usually ends by like 4 p.m. And then people will head home after that. Cool. So great question.